Hello, good morning. Let me just get the webinar people. Yep, here we go. Good morning. Can everyone hear me? I hope so. I hope so. Good morning. We've got some people joining us on the live. Oh, and I can see some people are on the live and on the webinar. Let me see who we've got here. Good morning, Emma and Georgia. Maria, good morning. Daniel, good morning for the second time. Jane, good morning. I've got who else? Sharon Cook, good morning. Helen, let's let everybody get in and get nice and comfy. Hey, Georgina, how are you? And Evelina, good morning. Val, good morning. Let's get going. I'm sorry, I'm all of sorts this week, and oh, I can see Leanne is there on the live. If you want to, if you're on the live, I realise some of you are in the salon, and that's fine. But if you're on the live, if you can get on the webinar, get on the webinar, because then you will see the PowerPoint. If you, morning Janice and Julie and Susan, good morning. Val, if you'll see the PowerPoint, okay? And I think the PowerPoint's quite important. If not, then you can catch up on the YouTube. But I'm going to get going. First of all, I'm going to apologise that we are here on Thursday and not Wednesday. It's half term this week, and I had indulged myself in a couple of days off with the grandchildren, and had complete and had booked yesterday. We went to Woburn Safari Park and couldn't change the tickets, so I had to change you. I'm so sorry. Morning, Carly. And anyway, so we had a lovely time, but so I'm 24 hours and 5 minutes late getting on this morning due to a technical problem as well. But let's get going, because it's a very, very important time right now, as we move from the furlough scheme. It ends, of course, the 31st, so we've just got a couple more days of the furlough scheme, and everything moves over to the job support scheme. But there is lots of other very important information, and I also want to share a little bit at the end with you about marketing, what we could and should be doing right now. So really important today. Pens and pads at the ready, cameras for taking pictures of the slides, whatever you need, whatever you want, you can have. You can catch up again afterwards on the YouTube channel, Passion for Hair YouTube channel. If you've got any questions, please type them out there for me. Do it in a blue question box, and then it catches my attention. I'm not being supported today. Daniel is watching from the office. I'm at the academy, as you can all see. Daniel is watching and over there, but I'm not supported this morning, so please put your questions in a blue box, okay? Because there's a lot going on here. It's like driving a plane. And anyway, let's get going. So it's time for some strategic planning, and hopefully some of you have already started doing this. We did talk about it on Business Counts, but if you haven't, it's not too late. And you, even if you have, keep watching, because some things have changed, okay? So no patting yourself on the back and going and getting yourself a cup of coffee and a bar of chocolate. The furlough scheme ends on the 31st of October. So as we move forward into the winter months, it's really important that we've got a plan to duck, or maybe more than one plan, but it's really important. If you've got some plans, and one of the things that I have said and I've suggested to people, listen, don't make it sophisticated and complicated. Just have it written down somewhere where it's easily accessible. All your thoughts, all your ideas, all the information that you get hold of. You must write it all down. Very, very important, because things are changing rapidly and will change rapidly. There's a lot of pressure on the Prime Minister right now for a full lockdown. This morning on the radio, what's his name? I can't remember. One of the ministers, he said they still are very, very keen not to have a full lockdown. Nottingham are about to go into tier 3. If you haven't already seen this, this is very interesting. They're going into a very severe tier 3. They've closed nail salons, beauty salons, gyms, Bars, they're not going to sell alcohol after 9 o'clock at night anywhere, off-license anywhere. Can't sell alcohol after 9 o'clock. They are keeping hairdressing salons open in Nottingham. Very interesting. So it's not always helpful, because what happens as people do get locked down, and the enemy here is fear, right? People get fearful, then of course they don't want to come out so much. But anyway, so it still affects salons. So in some respects, I don't know, I've had some conversations, people have said, well, quite frankly, I'd be better off if I was closed. But that's not so. Keep watching. Okay. I do want to remind everybody, as you know, stress levels are rising, and they are. My stress levels are rising. Honestly, it's really affecting me. I promise you. It's affecting us all. So I want you to understand. You know, I'm talking about our inner selves. So our leadership right now, our leadership mode and skills, love, compassion, empathy, example, and courage. Look, I realise that not all the team are cooperating well. I realise that it's difficult. I honestly, I understand, but you must keep these things as your primary leadership skills right now. All right. Even for those that are difficult to love them. Okay. Have compassion for people. Everybody is living this through the prism of their own beliefs. Have empathy for people. Try and live in their shoes. Yes, I know that it's uncertain times for everybody. Remember, I started Business Counts by saying, write this word down. Everything you do, have this word as your true north. Certainty. Where is the certainty in this? So lead by example and have the courage to do what you've got to do. Okay. And if you feel wobbly, then you must reach out. You contact me, contact Daniel, contact whoever it is that you reach out to. But you've got to have the courage to do what's necessary. Now, here are your options. You can do nothing. You can do that. Do nothing. But what that will mean is that you'll be on the back foot should you have a situation where you need to use some of these things. Now, I've spoken to salon owners who they haven't used the furlough scheme since we went back on the 4th of July. And that's great. I'm so happy. I want to tell you that I have. All right. In my businesses, we have continued to use the furlough scheme and people have been on part-time furlough. If you haven't had to do that, I'm really happy for you. But you don't know what's going to happen next week, right? None of us know. Nobody knows what is going to happen next week. So get yourself ready. Don't be on the back foot. So you can do nothing. That's okay. It is a strategy, by the way. You can use the job support scheme as we move forward. And my recommendation is, even if you haven't a need to do it right now, get yourself ready for whatever it is that you have to do, because you can also use short time. But there are some caveats with that. Okay, so we'll be exploring that. And it is possible that you can make redundancies, although the government are trying. I want everybody to know, if you go and have a look at the government website right now, the government are doing everything they can to make sure that companies don't make redundancies. You keep people on the payroll, and that's because as the government see it, if people are unemployed, they've got to pay them, they've got to support them through universal credit because they're unemployed. So they might as well support them in work. So really, one of the things that the government are trying to set up here is that as employers, we almost become part of the unemployment, holding pattern, if you like. All right. So, they're asking employers all the time when when you read the website about these different things, they're saying, please think carefully about, the best way that you can use these schemes. So we'll talk first about short time. Let's talk about that first. Short time can be contractual or agreed. So if you've got NHF contracts, then you have, it's in your contract that you can use short time, all right? If you haven't got NHF contracts, it can be agreed. So you can do it so that it is something that is agreed on the side, All right. So if it's not in there, you can agree to do it. Now, there is a statutory guaranteed pay that is £30 per day for the first 5 days in a 3-month period. Okay. Now that is pro rata for part-time staff. So if somebody works 3 days, then that 30 days would be for 3 days, right? Now this is something very important to take note of. Employees can apply for redundancy if they are short-timed for more than 4 weeks in a row, or for more than 6 weeks in a 13-week period. Now, if you've got an employee that is important to your business, or has worked for you for a long time, be aware of the fact that if you use short time, they can come to you for redundancy, and you will be obliged to make a redundancy payment to that person if that's what they decide to do. Now, I want to make a note here. So the thing is about the short time, so they'll get £30 for the first 5 days, and then in a 3-month period, you don't pay any more money to them. Okay. Now, on the government website, they have said, please think very carefully about using the job support scheme before you choose short time or layoffs, right? Layoffs are not very common in our industry. The no-win, no-fee solicitors, I have no doubt in my mind, are circling like hawks, right? And as soon as they have the opportunity, they don't have the opportunity at the moment because the government are not allowing landlords to evict people. They're not allowing people to make, employment tribunal claims unless they are for sex discrimination or race discrimination or age discrimination or anything like that. But these no-win, no-fee solicitors are going to come out in force. And on the government website, it tells you to keep all records for at least 5 years. So what we know is when all this comes to an end, whenever that might be, we're going to have this 5-year window where everybody's going to be, where the government are going to be checking up people's records, right? But also remember that people have 3 years with which to bring a claim currently. So, because the government have been meddling in the middle, we don't know what will happen with that. So bear all those things in mind, okay? Now, make this note here. The minimum pay limit. I just want to go back to one thing. So at the end of 3 months, you start a new 3-month period on short time. Okay, so then you pay them for another 5 days, and then you can go on to the next short time. Short time can be some days of the week. It can be all week. If you're going to use it some days of the week, how this redundancy pay then stacks up, I don't know. I've not looked deeply enough into this because it's not something that I'm going to be using personally in my salons. Okay, so remember that the minimum pay limit for the job retention bonus in January. So remember that there's guidance updated by the end of January 2021, but I have got some information a little bit further down about that job retention bonus. Okay, so what I'm trying to say to you is this: if you short time somebody, and I'm sure nobody here would short time people for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. I don't know, but if you do that, you must understand that then there'd be no income. And then you could end up in a situation where you don't qualify for the job retention bonus. So I'm not saying that's a reason not to do it. I'm just saying that don't be surprised. Don't have a surprise in January because you didn't make the right decision earlier. So, wait. There we go. Hold on. That was one of the reasons I had. Okay, so let's now talk about the job support scheme. It's actually been split into two, and this is causing some confusion. So the job support scheme now, we have job support scheme open and job support scheme closed. Okay, so it's been split into two, but it has changed for both parts of the scheme. Now, again, look, it says further guidance to be published the end of October 2020, and we're not at the end of October. I know it's the 29th, but it could change in the next couple of days. The job support scheme its purpose is to keep employees in a job on shorter hours. That's its purpose. So I already said what the government want us to do is be like a holding pattern for people being unemployed. Okay. Now, what has changed? This is the open scheme here, and that's because currently most salons are open. Of course, they are closed in Wales. They're closed in Northern Ireland. And if anyone here is watching from Ireland, I'm not sure whether they are. Let me have a quick look. If you're looking from Ireland, of course, you've got completely different rules, etc., etc. So they have to do 20% of their normal hours. So if you've got somebody that works 5 days, that means they'll have to work at least 1 day a week. The other 4 days can be paid through the job support scheme. They'll get 66.67%, what a funny number, of normal pay for the hours not worked. Rishi, he's a funny old thing, isn't he? You know, he brought furlough into the British English language. Do you remember I said that's a funny thing for him to say because it's an American term? In case you didn't know, Rishi went to university in America. He went to Sanford. Anyway, so they'll get 66.67 of the normal pay for the hours not worked. 5% will be paid by the employer. Of course, that is a change, and up to £150 per month. So it will cost at the most £150 per month, right? That's what they're saying. The government will pay 61.67. That will be up to £1,541.75 per month. Okay, I can make this easier for everybody. Wait a minute. Here we go. There we go. I want to make it a little bit right. And the employee then receives 73% of their normal wages. Okay, so that's what does happen. Now, what we do have to remember is on any of these schemes, people are also they're still accumulating their holiday entitlement. Okay, now this is really important, right? You must have a written agreement that they have been offered a temporary working agreement. See how I've put that in capitals? So you must have, I know that we'd all got these furlough letters. You now need a letter that says that the employee has been offered a temporary working agreement, and they must, it doesn't say they have to like write back and say they agree, but they have to acknowledge, right, that they've received the letter. So you might as well just get them to say that they have received the letter and that they understand, agree, whatever wording you want. But make sure you get that in their temporary working agreement, because the government tell you to keep that letter for 5 years, and you must make it available to them on request, right? I'm moving that because I think I might be able to get that, better. There you go. I think that would be better for everyone, including me. So this is a very important thing. Okay, Susan's put a thing up there. Can we get a letter from the NHF or just an email letter we send ourselves? I mean, I would have thought that the NHF are going to put a letter out. If you remember, I haven't looked for it myself yet. If you remember, it's going to be in that section. You know, they've got a section where you download letters, and they've got a whole they had a furlough section. So what they're going to do with that, I don't know. So they should do it, but it's not complicated, Susan. So you can go and look for it. I've read this on. Basically, you've just got to have a letter. Actually, at the end, I want to talk about an action plan. But part of this action plan is going to be, the first thing we should do is we should make sure that all the employees understand that the furlough scheme's coming to an end. It's really important that we tell people things are tough. If your salon is down in sales, and the team will know it, they'll know whether they're busy or not. If it's down, share that with the team, right? Business is down, but reassure them, I tell my team, my primary goals right now are to keep the business going and to keep everyone in a job. They're my primary goals, and they are my primary goals. I do believe, and we are seeing it, we're seeing lots of salons closing, right? Announcing they're going to close, etc., etc. For those salons that get to the other side of this, okay, it's going to be good, right? It's all going to be good. We just got to get to the other side, okay? So it could be a simple letter. You just need to have a meeting first. Make sure everybody understands where the business is, what's happening, and then send this letter out. And if you do it in that order, like don't send the letter cold, as it were, right? Because then people get worried. So do it in that order, and it'll all be good. So it's now the job support scheme. It must cover at least 7 consecutive working days. So in other words, you have to have the hours that they're going to do for the next 7 days. So you don't have to start this on November the 1st. You can start it whenever you like. But what you must do is when you say they're going on to the job support scheme, you have to say this is going to be your timetable for the next 7 days. And of course, 2 of those days could be day off. So day off. this day, job support scheme, this day, working 9 till 5, whatever it will look like. Now, how we do that on an ongoing basis, I'm actually not 100% sure myself because it's not very clear, but this is very important, this 7 consecutive working days part. Okay. I don't know. I don't really understand why. If anyone's got any insight into why they think that's what the government should do, why Rishi would put that, then please share it. Now, the employers' and national insurance contributions and the pension payments are payable by the employer. So as well as the 5%, so the 20%, at least one day they have to work, 5%. Sharon's saying it's so confusing. What is confusing? Are you only on the live, Sharon, or are you watching the webinar as well? Tell me what you think is confusing, because if you think it is, then other people might be. But I'm trying to understand whether you can also see the PowerPoint. So what will it cost the employer? It will cost whatever hours that they're working. It will cost the 5% of the job support scheme hours, and it's going to cost the whole amount of the national insurance and the pension. Okay, but the government, of course, their argument is this is what the grants are for, this is what the bounce back loans are for, etc., etc. So they're trying to make sure that, unlike the furlough scheme, the people that are on the job support scheme are people that are in long-term, what do they call it? Viable jobs, right? Long-term viable jobs. That's very, very important. So what the employee is paid on the days that they don't work is called the reference salary. The reference salary. Oh, just a statement. All right. I've got you, Sharon. Oh, so the reference salary is what it's called. Now, do you remember in the furlough scheme in the beginning, there was all this confusion about, oh, what about if people are on commission? What happens? Is it only this bit? Is it that bit? Is it the other bit? So the reference salary is the calculation that you do, and you redo the calculation for the job support scheme. And for those people that are on variable pay, that will have to be done. Of course, if people are on a set hourly wage, it will be easy. But if it's on variable pay, you must work out the reference salary. Okay, and that's separate to the salary that you were using for the furlough scheme. Now, I want to make reference here to, a minute, let's make sure we've got all of that. Okay. I want to make reference here to the job retention bonus, because this is very important. because a lot of people, when Rishi first announced it, he announced it as if anybody you bring back from furlough, you're going to get £1,000 for, as long as they're still employed on January the 31st, 2021. Well, it's changed a couple of times since then, and it could change again. But there are some caveats to it, and it's important that before we go rushing off making decisions about how we're going to support people, people's employment throughout this, then we have to make sure that we understand what's happening here. So the portal will be open from February the 15th, 2021. You can claim £1,000 for each furloughed employee that you still employ on the 31st of January. Okay, that's kind of what we know. But there is a minimum income threshold of £1,560. And that minimum income threshold is for the period from the 6th of November to the 5th of February. Okay, so there's been a lot of confusion about this. So they have to have earned £1,560 from the 6th of November to the 5th of February. The reason why we have these payment periods here from the 6th of November to the 5th of December, 6th of December to the 5th of January, 6th of January to the 5th of February is because that you have to make a payment, something in each of those periods. And it doesn't matter when your pay period is. There has to be a payment in each of these periods. Okay, so let me give you an example here. If your pay period is on, let's say you pay, I know some of you pay 5 weekly and 4 weekly, right? 5 weekly and 4 weekly. Let's say you have a 5 weekly period and payday is the 5th of November. So, and then the next payday is the 6th of December. That means there would have been no payment in between the 6th of November and the 5th of December, and you will not be able to claim any of the £1,000. Okay, so can everybody see why it's so very important that you make sure the planning is right, that you know when these payments are going to be made, etc., etc. What does RTI mean, Jane? I don't know what that means. So that's a very, very important thing. The employee must be paid something in each of these periods. You can change your pay periods if you want to. You can do that. Yes. Okay. Yes, you're right, Jane. The way that they change them is the way that they are checking the records is through real-time information. And I think I'm right in saying that every employer is now on real-time information. But something else is coming up here, Jane. PAYE records and payments must be up to date. Now, remember on Business Counts, I said to you, keep your payments up to date. So if your PAYE records are behind at the moment, make it a priority to get your PAYE records and payments up to date. If they're not up to date, you're going to miss out on the £1,000 job retention bonus per employee. So if you've got 5 employees, it's £5,000. So it's really important that you make sure that your PAYE records and payments are up to date, and that your records on that the real-time information is all up to date and correct. That's how they're checking the records. Thank you, Jane. So let's have a look here at some business grants, because there are some business grants that are available to people that are in tier 2 and tier 3. And tier 3 has been quite well publicised, but tier 2 I feel has been brushed under the carpet a little bit. Let's hope no one notices. I mean, I don't know. And if I'm wrong about that, then maybe I am. But I'm pretty tuned into this stuff. And but anyway, in high alert areas, the government is providing additional funding to local authorities in England in high alert level 2, tier 2 areas. So you're not legally closed, but you're severely impacted by the restrictions. The local authority will decide which businesses are eligible for the grants and how much they should get. Okay, so this is going to be a case of rolling your sleeves up, getting in touch with your local authority and finding out what they want from you to prove that if you're in tier 2. So if you're in tier 2, just give us a wave if you're in tier 2 or tier 3. Gives me a chance to have a sip of my coffee. So yeah, tier 2, look, see how many of you are in tier 2. My salons are in tier 2, by the way. Yep, Susan, you're in tier 3. So you'll probably be already on your grants. Okay, yep, you're Sharon, you're in a funny old situation there, Sharon, because you're in tier 2 and your neighbours literally near enough across the street are in tier 1 by a fluke of politics, right? Southend-on-Sea and Thurrock councils don't come under Essex County Council, crazily. Anyway, so it's done on it is ridiculous, I agree. For properties with a rateable value of 15,000 or under, you could be getting 934 a month. Rateable values 15 to 51, 1,400. And there is actually money this time for properties with a rateable value over 51,000. You may remember that when they gave the grants before, anybody that had a rateable value of over 51,000 didn't get the grants, which really cut a lot of people out in London. So in central London, which was terrible. Anyway, those grants are available. You're not included in the grants. Well, Susan, okay. If that's the case, then I would go back to the local authority with this information here. Okay, that's what I would do. Keep fighting them. Local authorities are buggers. So you must keep fighting that. I had a situation with Passion for Hair I will share with you, in that our local authority here, this one here, is this directly off because this is a cut and paste here. Where did I get this? Yeah, I'm sure I got this off the government website. And that's why you've got to keep digging, and we've got to keep together. They're buggers. So yeah, Passion for Hair, the local authority told us, Passion for Hair, we weren't eligible for a grant. Anyway, we appealed and we fought it. And Can you share that? I will, after the webinar, I will find the links to the business grants, okay? Anyway, they told us we weren't eligible. And actually, I've got to tell you, in the first instance, I went, oh, yeah, okay. And the reason why I went, oh, yeah, okay, is because actually we weren't closed at Passion for Hair, right? But we were severely impacted. Well, it was one of our neighbours here on the business park that said, well, I got it. And so we went back and we appealed and we got it, right? So sometimes you don't have to take they're buggers, those local authorities, I'll tell you. Unelected. Let's not go on about those things. Let's have love and compassion. Right, so Susan said she's on it. Are you on the website? If you are, Susan, do me a favour, do a quick copy of the link and copy it down here. Yes, empathy and courage. Right, okay, so I'm not sure which Sharon that is. I think that might be Sharon Stubbs. She says there's a really good Yeah, I thought it was really good. Get a direct contact name. Yeah, we did that. We got a direct contact name, and that's how we ended up, by the way, getting a. I believe we got a second bite of the cherry, as it were. So don't take no for an answer with the local authority. Keep going. Okay, I want to talk to everybody because hang on, let's come off there for 1 second. So let's just recap where we are, because there's a lot of information here. If it's an intelligent comment, can you pretend it's me? There's a lot of information, okay? What I recommend you do is go back and do different scenarios with your employees. And if your salon is still, if you've still got a good flow of clients coming through, then I'm happy for you. Good for you. I hate to say it, at some point we are all going to be hit. Don't, when these things are available, don't sit on people paying people's wages, right? That would be a mistake. So do different scenarios, understand what is happening here, keep pushing for the money. Susan, here's a tip with the local authority, by the way. Of course, if you are using the job support scheme, or if you're currently using furlough, you go back and tell them, I'm using the furlough scheme, I'm using the job support scheme, whatever it is, and this is costing we're impacted. Use their words. That's the other thing. My business has been impacted, so whilst we're open, we are impacted. Use their words when you write to them. And so do your plans for each of your employees. Make sure you have a meeting with everybody. If the business is down, tell the team it's down. It's okay. There's no shame in it. So tell the team the business is down. It's not doing so well, but here's your intention. This is what your strategy is. Get those letters out to the employees. And then we've got to tell the employees what it is that they need to do in order to keep the business open and keep their jobs, right? Because we're not the only ones, that should be working hard at this. Now, 4 R's. So, referrals. There are people out there that are looking for safe salons, right? And so these referrals from our clients are really, really important. Making sure that we're still asking clients, would you please recommend us to your friends? It'd be the greatest compliment you can give us, etc., etc. The best way for this to work is when the stylist asks the client, please recommend your friends, right? Please recommend your friends. Tell the clients, here are ways that you can help our business. When you recommend your friends, you're really helping our business. Thank you so much. Rebooking. Let's make sure the clients understand, because rebookings are falling off, and they're falling off because clients are not sure about what's going to be happening, etc., etc. Make sure the client knows if you've got an appointment, you can change the appointment, but if you've got an appointment in the book, you are priority. So make sure she knows that. Put your appointment in the book. We can move it as many times as you want to, but just have an appointment in there. Okay, so that's how we make sure that we keep hold of our rebooking. And the dialogue of the team should be changing. The dialogue should be changing, right? Number 3, please leave us a review. This is a massive marketing strategy, and it costs nothing. Nothing. It costs you nothing. Marketing generally costs time, effort, money. Asking the client to leave a review costs nothing. So let's make sure we ask clients, please leave us a review. We're doing everything we can to, whatever, get the team to practice some dialogue and talking to clients about the impact it's having, because everybody asks, of course they do. Every business person, even sometimes employers, I say to people, how is it for you right now? How is it for you? So clients are asking. So let's not do it in a negative way, in a positive way. Let's say to the clients, well, we're getting along. We've got a plan. My salon owner's got a strategy. We know how we're going to get through this. These are ways that you can help us. We really appreciate your business, and you can help us by doing this, this, and this. Okay, so leaving a review, it's a massive strategy. And then the last thing, the retail here on the 4Rs, this is essential, extra revenue for the salon. Now, remember what Daniel said? I loved it. When Daniel come up with it, I was like, I love that. This is the 13th month of profit. You can give yourself a whole another month of profit. Okay, if profit is not a way that you're looking at your business right now, and I understand that, this could be the stylist that you, at the moment, you can't afford to employ. So retail, that extra revenue is so essential. And remember, right now, everybody wants to buy local. They want to buy independent. And there's actually, if you have that independent and local mindset, and I know a lot of you do, right? How painful is it when you want to buy something and you're forced to buy it online on Amazon? How does that feel? I mean, I know how it feels to me, and there are times when I've had to do it. I just had to buy some eye vitamin things for my mum, right? And the only way I could get the ones that the doctor had recommended was by buying them online. It killed me, right? Because I don't want to buy like that. So let's understand that these things are all working in our favor right now. So let's make the absolute most out of that opportunity that we can. Keep talking to the team about it. Okay, it's difficult for people to keep, focused with so much going on. Let's make sure we keep the team focused on the 4Rs. And then a couple of marketing ideas. So, this is a marketing strategy for those of you that joined us at Business Counts. We talked a lot about marketing strategy. Here's one that I'm using right now with Feathers. I'm using a strategy of getting people to understand that, okay, you can't have the holiday you want, that you can't go out see your friends, cinema, whatever it is that you normally do, parties, Christmas. Christmas is going to, I mean, when we talk about the Grinch, right? COVID is the Grinch. COVID is the new Grinch. It stole Christmas. Dialogue, something like this. Right now, you might not be able to enjoy your normal treats or routines, but it's important to look and feel good, right? And then talk about your salon and how you make people look good and feel good, right? And a headline that starts, look good and feel better, right? Because people want to look good and feel better. That's what they want. But there's less and less. Excuse me 1 second. I must get a tissue. So sorry. I normally always have my tissues here. Look good and feel better. This could be a good line. I really look forward to seeing a lot of you using this, these marketing and getting some copy. Like one of the things, of course, that we talked about on Business Counts is how difficult it is to, write copy sometimes, off the top of your head. So, of course, once we all get going writing some copying, if you go and have a look at the social media, my social media, you'll see that we've started putting some of this kind of copy out there. But, with your emails that you send your clients, so that's just a couple of ideas. If you've got some ideas that are working for you, please do share. Share with the group. Georgia, that's great. And actually, I mean, Matt's a great writer. So, if Matt could share some of his dialogue in our Passion for Hair leadership group, that would be fantastic, because right now we all need, we need that. Our creative juices need inspiring, right? So thanks, Georgia. I appreciate it. And thanks, Matt. I'm sure I bet he's driving or something and you're listening whilst you're driving. Yeah, he's next to you. So, so let's inspire each other, because this is really important. you know, one of the things, again, business counts, I said to you, like, having hairdressers come into this academy has been such a tonic for me, for my team at Passion for Hair, for the hairdressers that have come, for those of you that came to business counts. And we're missing all those things. It's terrible. Don't get me started. It's driving me bananas. But I think Boris understands, you know, all of these things. So there's, you know, some marketing ideas there. Maybe you guys have got some of your own. So I said that I was going to try and get done within 60 minutes, and I have. I anticipated a lot more questions. If you've got any questions, then please give them to me. Whilst we're waiting for any questions to come up, let's just recap what's happening here. So you need to get a plan together. And it's really, really important that, really important that, you know, you write down all the different scenarios. My suggestion to you, even if you don't need to use the job support scheme at the moment, is get that communication out there to the team. Don't let it be a surprise to them. Suddenly, you know, in the middle of November, right, that you start, you know, telling them you're on the job support scheme this day, because they'll start feeling really negative about that. And that's not what you want. You want people, and I do believe, I mean, if there's anyone here that goes all the way through the winter without using the job support scheme, I'll eat my hat. Or having to make redundancies, or using short time, whatever it is that you decide to do. I'm sure somewhere along the line we will all have to use it, and it's important to do that. Okay. So have a meeting with the team. You might want to have a meeting with some people individually. Make sure that they understand what's happening, and that their jobs are secure. It's also important that they understand, as hard as the salon owner is working to keep the business going, it's up to them to also work hard and do their part in communicating with their clients, doing great hair, but also doing the 4 R's and making sure, you know, that they're doing all the things that they should do in the salon really well. What we don't want is that, you know, if you've got people that are only working 2 or 3 days a week sometimes through the winter, we don't want them coming in on them 2 or 3 days and they're not on the top of their game. They need to be on the top of their game. And if they're not on the top of their game, you know, we have to deal with that a different way. Because remember, one of the things that I said before, just because I'm asking you to have love and compassion and empathy, it doesn't mean those lines become like wavy or fuzzy. Those lines, those guidelines that people have to work within, right? How should they be? They need to be firmer than ever. You need to be, you know, firmer with them than ever. Get those letters out to people that they're being offered that timetable on the job support scheme. One of the things I'm going to do is I've got certain employees who I know we're going to have to use the job support scheme, the employees that we've been using the furlough scheme. I'm going to have them on it in the first week of November, even if it's only for 1 day, just to get the ball rolling. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So have that meeting, get those letters out, and then you must get on to training the team, making sure the team stay on their game, and then that marketing, right? That marketing plan. So the 4 R's, and then get on to some marketing. This is going to be really important, all of these things. So we've not got any questions, which is fantastic. We're within the hour. I do want to remind you all that Daniel is here at 8:30 tomorrow morning on the webinar. It will also be live, but if you're not on the webinar, then you don't get the presentation. If you can't see the presentation, you can't see the webinar live, you can get it on catch up. It's on the Passion for Hair YouTube channel. So please join Daniel tomorrow morning. He's got some great things and ideas tomorrow. He's absolutely committed to helping you all have a 13th month or getting an extra stylist through retail. Salon Love is going great. Just yesterday, was it yesterday? One day this week, there were 4 tools sold on Salon Love. 4 in one day, amongst all the. So fantastic opportunity for salons to get on board. You know, you sell 32% commission for salons. You know, you sell a tool at £120. Of course, the commission's X the VAT. £120, £32, right? £32. That nourishing styler, that's going great guns. Is it that? How much is that? It's 140, is it, or something? I don't know. Emma Hasser, how many of those have you sold? Those irons, those nourishing irons, loads. £190. Here it's £190, and 180. Make up your mind, you two. And if anyone should know, it should be you two. But anyway, Emma's saying it is 180. Right. Daniel, be told. So she knows. She's sold more than anybody, right? So let's quickly do the maths on that. 180, it's 36 VAT, 150, 140, 140, 30. She gets about 48 pounds. 48 quid, Emma Hasser. Sits at home, yeah? Sits at home. Well, she don't sit at home. She works really hard. But what I'm saying is sometimes she's sitting at home and she's making sales, right? So, and that's all going towards keeping her salon going. And that's absolutely fantastic. So for those of you that didn't attend Business Counts, this is going to be the last thing I'm going to tell you. Emma Hasser is the person who's had most commission. 1 month she had over £500 in commission. And the next one is £380 commission. So she's done really well. You keep going. Yeah, well, thank you, Emma. You've helped us because, as I've said before, and this is going to be the end, as I've said before, right? We only do well if you do well. We are also fighting for our business, right? So we're also fighting for our business, but we only do well if you do well. Okay, so with that, let's all go and have a great Thursday. See you tomorrow for coffee with Daniel. Essential. If you can't join us live, then make sure that you catch up on the YouTube. And to everybody, see you all later. I turned the live off first. See you all later, guys. Have a great day. And if there's anything you need, you know where we are. There we go. And that's how we finish.